You might not believe that I have a shower in this van, but I do, and it's just here. As I was designing this build, I knew that I wanted the option of a shower, but it had to be indoors. I'm in the UK, so outdoors is not really an option here. Putting a whole floor-to-ceiling cubicle in here would have just disrupted the whole layout, and I didn't want to give that much space to something that, you know, in terms of the minutes of your week, I use very infrequently compared to all of the other stuff that you do in life. So I researched a number of different space-saving options, and in the end I just decided to do something that I hadn't seen anyone else do and put a shower cubicle inside of a drawer. Because why not? Here's how it works. The drawer pulls out, it's not on runners, just on the floor, and then inside are all of the parts for the shower. I open this hatch above the area where I've put a holder for the shower head. I screw the other end onto my tap, and then I put up the curtain, which affixes to the ceiling and also has a framed hem to keep the curtain inside of the tray. And it's no coincidence that all of this is directly underneath the Max Air fan, so I can extract any hot, damp air as I'm showering. I did take some footage of how I actually built this, so why don't you watch that whilst I get dressed? So this is where it's going to go. Here's my little kitchen setup. I'm going to have a sink, shower, oven, fridge, and anything that's not got an appliance in it will just be drawers and storage. So this is 60 centimetres wide and 60 centimetres deep. The shower tray is 585 mils exact to the edges. That gives us just enough space to build a little tray around it. Then the whole thing's going to slide out. We're not going to do it on drawer slides because that doesn't need to really, and it's a lot of weight to hold if somebody's standing in it. So we're just going to have a few beams on the bottom with felt pads underneath that can just run smoothly and just run along the floor, and then we'll build above that all the other components. So the way we're going to build this shower drawer is we've got the tray here. We've got an 18mm sheet of ply to support this so that when you stand in it, it's going to support you, because standing on this would just snap into. Then we've got 4 centimetres underneath, which we're just using CLS for, and then that raises this whole thing off the ground enough for the drain to have somewhere to go, that pipe to have movement underneath, because that's going to have to concertina back and forth as the drawer comes in and out. Then we've got this gap to fill in above to support this edge piece, so we're just measuring up how far to build that basically. These are the pieces to make the frame that's going to go underneath the 18mm ply. So the shower hole is here, the drain hole is there, and then the pipe's going to sit like this when it's in situ, straight when it's pulled out, and then we've left this bit clear. There's enough support on the sides, but then that's where the pipework will all go into the next compartment and then down into the waste tank. So here I am cutting plywood to make the support for the shower tray, and it's just made of plastic, so it needs a solid foundation both underneath the tray itself and around the sides to meet the lip. So I used 18mm ply for all of this and then just pocket hole screwed them together, and then I raised this foundation to allow space for the pipework to run underneath it all. Right, I finished screwing all that down. I've done 3 sides and the middle, but I've left this one on the end because I think it'd be easier for us to fit the pipework when we can actually access it rather than trying to reach in through the holes that I'll leave behind. So you can see the kind of layers, I guess. Underneath here is where the pipework will live, and then you've got the base underneath the tray for support, and then this meets up to the top so that when the tray goes in, this rim has something to sit onto. So I guess we'll just have to silicone that down into place, and then the drawer is complete, and that is about 15 centimetres high. That ain't bad. So that's all the height basically I'm losing in my kitchen in order to have a shower. Obviously I've had to plan it so that one of the partitions is 60 centimetres wide to fit the whole thing in, but it's a very space-saving option, and everything belonging to the shower actually will live in this cavity here, so the whole drawer will be one shower unit, all complete. Alright, so here's the shower tray where it's going to live. Once I'm doing all the other drawers for the kitchen, I'll put a drawer front on here with a handle. These are my shower curtain rails. Yes, they are small. If I stand in this, you'll see just how small, but fret not, I will have more space to shower. So this is going to be one at the top and one at the bottom. So one will have the curtain rings on attached to the ceiling. The other one is just to sit at the bottom of the tray, and I'm going to hem the shower curtain around the edge of this so that it keeps it in the tray and I don't get the shower curtain coming outside and splashing water everywhere. It just basically keeps everything contained. And I'm going to get two curtains and join them together so that I've got more of a perimeter around, so I've got more space to actually move outwards. So yeah, that's already done. I've just used basically overflow waste pipe for these and the little corners for that. And I'm just about to attach the door up here. So this is just an access area for various bits and bobs. The cupboard here is going to have this shower mount on it. So I found this little bracket that's got an adjustable shower head holder, and then my shower head can fit in there. That will be inside the cupboard when it's closed. And then I've got my shower head ready to go in here. This is one of those ones with a button, so you can push it on and off, stop the flow when you want it, and it's supposed to be very water efficient as well. Right, I put this shelf cupboard back on now with the shower bracket mounted. I've got my shower in the holder, and that is ideally placed. I mean, I don't think I could get it much higher than that if it wasn't in a cupboard, and it's higher than me, which is the main thing. And it's right underneath my fan, so I can ventilate as much as possible on max when I'm showering. And then this end will plug into the sink tap, which will be over here somewhere. And yeah, happy days. I got a shower in my van. So I've added these really wide, I think it's about 2 inches, strips of felt along the two sides of the shower tray. This helps it slide in and out really smoothly. And that's about everything I took footage of. So I'll show you the last few details in its finished form. We painted the sides and added more felt strips to the edges for smooth running in and out. We used Sikaflex to first stick the tray to its box along the base and then around the lip, and then use a plastic 90-degree trim to waterproof the top edges, as I don't want water on the wooden areas to rot. We added a door front with a handle, and behind the tray I fixed a block of wood so the drawer can't be pushed back too far, and of course a couch on the front to keep it in place whilst driving. One thing that I didn't film when I was actually building it was how I affixed the shower frame with the curtain on up onto the ceiling. And it took me so long to research the perfect solution to this, because the van's not that high, I'm very short. An obvious way would be to add hooks, but I didn't want to risk the scalp of every visitor over 5'10", so I kept searching for a flush option. And eventually I came across this button fix system, which was just the perfect thing. I'll link it for you above. There's 2 pieces, and one just slides really snugly into the other one and just locks in place. So I attached 4 to the corners of my frame, and I put 4 connectors up on the ceiling in the perfect place, and it comes with a little tool so you can mark the exact spot that it needs to go. So then to put the curtain up, I just line all 4 corners into here, slide it across about a centimetre, and then voila, it's magically attached to the ceiling. And my mum made my very custom shower curtain for me. If you haven't seen my earlier videos, my parents helped an awful lot with the labour of this build, and we sewed 2 together to give enough width that I could move around inside. Hemmed the bottom around a second curtain rail so that the curtain always stays inside the tray, and used Velcro along the front opening as well as around the shower head so that the whole thing does up nice and snug and keeps all of the water inside the whole unit. The shower head itself that I have actually has an on-off switch on the head, so I can plumb this into the tap, get the temperature right, and then just switch it off whilst I set it up. And then once I'm in the shower, I can turn it on again from the shower head without having to reach the tap itself. As for the plumbing, it's basically just a flexible waste hose that connects from an angled drain at the plug hole, and then through this hole in the side of the drawer and down through the floor into the underslung wastewater tank. and I added a small trap underneath the van to stop any smells coming back up into the van from the tank. If you're building a van, then I have something for you. I've made a little website with reviews, information, and US and UK links to almost everything that I've used in this entire build. When I was building mine, I found myself spending hours and hours researching just which parts I needed, what parts went with other parts, or would solve a particular problem that I encountered. So if you want to save yourself a bit of time, check out my link up here and in the description to see that full list. So full disclosure, I hardly ever use this shower. I know, after all that genius designing. But in order to put it away, I first need to dry it out, which means I have to keep the curtain up and the drawer out, which means that I can't drive anywhere. And it's blocking half of my kitchen, which in reality, in such a small space, isn't the most convenient thing. Now, I used a fabric style curtain because I was obsessed with colour matching it to the van. If I'd used a plastic one, it probably would have been much easier because I could just squeegee off the water, especially with my water vacuum that I use for the windscreen. But I go to the gym anyway, so I just shower there, which also saves me a lot of water use. And in between going to the gym, I can just wash with a cloth and some soapy water the old-fashioned way. If I'm nowhere near the gym, then I do have a shower that I can use. It's still easier to wash my hair in the sink than in the shower, but I have the option to do all of this as and when I need to, which is what I wanted for the build. Now, if you want to have any sort of shower in your van, it does sort of dictate other things that you also need to build in, such as an underslung wastewater tank because gravity, plenty of freshwater capacity in your freshwater tank, a hot water supply, and none of these things are cheap additions. And remember that having a shower is a very modern luxury. It wasn't common for people to have a shower or even plumbing in their house just 100 years ago. And I know that we've become used to having that, but it is perfectly easy to live without a shower and still maintain a very good level of hygiene. It's nice to have access to a shower, like I do, but I know the decision of whether to build one in a van or not is a decision that a lot of people get stumped on. Loads of people build one and then never use it because they need the storage more and it just ends up a dumping ground for all of their stuff. And everybody that doesn't have one tells me that they wish that they did. So for me, this was a solution that kind of meets in the middle, and whilst it is a bit faffy, I've sacrificed almost no space at all to have that option. So if you've watched this and then you end up building something similar, I would love to see it. People have been sending me photos and videos of their doors that they've done after watching my tutorial on how I did mine, which has been so fun to see other versions of the same thing on loads of other vans. And I'm really glad that I've been able to help people around the awkwardness of doing nice doors on a van build. So it's really good to see that it's been useful for people. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll reply as soon as I can. And I'll see you next time.